Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today, we're going to take a look at a couple of $30,000 guitars and see what you guys think of them. Starting off today is a Gibson Les Paul Supreme from the year 2005, listed by a seller in Italy as one of a kind. All right, I'll bite. Let's see what's fascinating about this. Okay, so first glance, it's just pretty much a regular Les Paul Supreme until you get to that top. Wow. Almost perfectly book matched, maybe not 100%, but very close, and that's something you don't normally find in Gibson. And this is such an extreme quilt. Now, you gotta be careful on these quilt tops. Sometimes they're so extremely quilty, they don't move much, so they're kind of boring in my opinion, but they look fantastic in photos. However, this one looks like it's going to have a whole bunch of travel, and the fact that it's a natural finish is kind of uncommon for a Supreme. Quick recap, Supremes, you can check out either of these videos, my Trans Black or the 125th anniversary one. They're bigger than a normal Les Paul. They have a carved top and they have a carved back. They're all chambered out on the inside. They basically feel like a shrunken down arch top guitar. You know, the vintage style ones. So they're great if you're a big jazz box player and you've always wanted a Les Paul, but you've always found them a little bit too small, or you want something that feels a little bit familiar with that arched back. But for modders, you need to know it's a little bit more difficult to modify these because they don't have back plates because of the figured backs. They just have enlarged output jack plates that you feed the stuff through the side. Quick recap aside, here's another view of the top. All right, it's looking pretty good, but what's the back look like? Oh, completely different. So this is more like a cloud quilt. It's not quite as wavy and extreme as the front. Like, this reminds me of a desert because that's what the sand does with the wind and all that. Whereas this is more like cotton candy or something. But it's a beautiful two-piece back. And then the neck is ultra dark. What's going on there? Well, it's just the cherry color that they're using, and it's a mahogany neck, so it's naturally going to be a little bit darker. You can see that the sides of the instrument are also a dark color like that. So you just have a beautiful natural finish over this. Ultra dark mahogany, and then the natural maple. Of course, we got the Super 400 inlays as we typically do. Generally, these things will have gold fret wire as well, which we can verify on this photo, but do you guys see this binding? It's all yellowed over. And then we get to the headstock. Oh, that's also all yellowed over. So that raises the question, did this leave the factory like that, or was this in some sort of like a display case and it's yellowed over time? My guess is yes, it's just aged over time. It did not start life like this. And the seller's price tag is $30,077. But here's where things get interesting, the story. So apparently this was built by Gibson engineer Keith Medley, or at least built for him. And he says it's the man who designed the Supreme. There were a lot of people behind the Supreme, but I bet you would have never guessed this. You guys remember 80s Les Pauls? We talk about those, the Leonard family, Randy Leonard and Floyd Leonard, Floyd being the dad. He was actually asked to come back to help design the Supreme. This photo right here is what Randy says is the very first Supreme that was ever built. Do you see that quilt top? That is strikingly familiar, except for it's kind of going the opposite direction. I would say this one looks a little bit better than the natural, but it's got like the exact same thing going on with the back too. Super cloud-like on the back and ultra wide on the front. But this one has a very special serial number. That was his dad's birthday, and this was given to him as a gift for helping design this. But apparently this was displayed at the 2003 NAMM show, and Randy can back up the story because it's actually written on the receipt for this. He inherited it when his father passed. And I can't quite see a serial number in this photo, so maybe this one has a special one too, maybe it doesn't, maybe all this is just a big coincidence. The next expensive beast to look at is the Gibson, not Super 400, Super 4000. When I did my Chet Atkins video a couple of months ago, there's a fan of the show who is a big fan of his and knows all about his signature guitars, and he owns one of these. So I've been kind of waiting for one of these Super 4000s to show up for myself after he made me realize these things even exist. So a brief rundown of the history of these is it is a ultra, super, high-end Chet Atkins signature from the year 2000. Sometimes, like this one, they range into the year 2001, but they were a staggering $40,000 brand new, and that's 2000 money. So almost $70,000 today, adjusted for inflation. Needless to say, with an asking price of a little under $30,000, these things did not do so well as investments if you purchased it new, but all that aside, these are ultra fancy. However, it originally would have looked like this. It's got a floating humbucker pickup attached to the Chet Atkins pickguard, and most of them were in this natural finish. However, the one on Reverb currently for sale actually has the rare Sunburst-like finish. So when this thing first popped up, I was like, whoa, what's going on here? We've got 2 pickups as mini humbuckers. That's cool. I vaguely remember hearing some lore that there was like a few of them made with 2 pickups rather than the 1, but I honestly don't know enough about these to truly comment. But we can still appreciate it for what it is. So you have 4 mother of pearl pieces, and then the center one is abalone. That's not something Gibson really did at that point in time. And remember, you're in the year 2000. That's like the 70s style Gibson logo. That's really cool. And you've got this giant headstock on here. Fleur-de-lis everywhere on the truss rod cover. That's just a mother of pearl truss rod cover in general. You even have it on the tuners now that I'm looking at it. Wow. Super 400 inlays on the fretboard. Ultra multiply bound. You've got similar stuff here. It looks like an ebony piece within your tailpiece here, and some more etching, including the Super 4000 logo. And of course you get the flame maple back and sides. That's a pretty heavily figured and bound beast. But even the back of the headstock has one of those little custom emblems on it too. I love that. And we get a nice pointy stinger, and it's a 5-piece maple neck with your Kluson seal fast tuners. Needless to say, these things are fancy. Now our Supreme over here, is it really worth $30,000? It's nice. It's probably one of the earlier ones, and it's great, but let's be real here, probably not. Now this one, I'm kind of surprised it's lasted as long as it has. I know it's kind of a niche item, but the last one I could find sold for around $25,000 on Elderly Music's website. And just in case you don't know, Elderly's has like the best website here. I love how you can just drag their photos and it looks like a video, and you can like spin the guitar really fast. I actually bought the photo equipment in order to do this for my own website because I just loved it so much. I want to start documenting my guitars like this as well, because I just have fun spinning the guitars. But to round off tonight's episode, I've got a couple other ones to check out with you. This one follows our theme of quilt tops gone crazy. Look at that. It's like a mix between flame and quilt, more so heavily on the quilt side. It's just so smashed down and compact. This is the version that you generally don't get much movement in, but it looks pretty darn cool. But it looks like we have mixed gold and like chrome hardware going on. I'm not sure what that's about. But this is probably a top that would have been better without a pickguard. But then we flip it over to the back, we just have a nice mahogany back. You gotta remember, 2005, that's when they were using some really nice mahogany woods. And the neck is also looking nice, great rosewood fretboard with some good streaking. And this is all fine and dandy, right? It's a nice example, but there's another reason I wanted to share this with you, outside of it just being absolutely beautiful. And that's because right here, premium grade 2005 6. Okay. Occasionally, exports to Japan around this time frame would get marked premium grade. I believe this was actually like a custom order for a dealer, and they wanted something like that on it, because I've seen at least 2 or 3 other of these from the same run. So 2005 telling you what year and then what number it is. So there's at least 5 other ones that look semi-similar to this. But this seller is asking, oh, surprisingly, only $5,300. That's not too bad for a 59 reissue with a top like that. Now, sure, in 2005, you didn't have the hot hide glue unless the dealer custom ordered it that way. But generally, R9s, anywhere between $35,000 to about $6,000, depending on the newness and the top. This could definitely be priced more atrociously. And oh my goodness, that thing is light. Jeez. 8 pounds, 5 ounces. That's really good. That's really tempting to pick up for a review. And the last one to talk about tonight is kind of an interesting one. So this one's listed as 1996 Custom Shop one-off Sunburst. Okay, so this is kind of giving me the Mummy vibes, which is a guitar that lies within my personal collection. It has a bound, unmarked fretboard, very similar to this. So when I saw this show up, I was like, oh, is that like a companion piece that I need to get? It's got a beautiful top. I love the fact that we've got whatever this is called, and all the other flame figuring, ABR1 bridge. The uncovered pickups work really well with this because it matches our fretboard, but it looks like somebody has removed our pickguard, put a different one on it, filled in a hole. We've got lots of nicks and dings, this is not the general condition that I prefer to collect. It's definitely been used. So we go through here, we can see a string butler. That's what those things are called. The whole process behind these is it puts little pegs on here so everything goes through the nut straight, which should, in theory, give the guitar a better fighting chance to stay in tune. However, if you have a properly cut nut, you generally don't need these. But if you don't have a luthier to do that around you, they could be a great band-aid fix. But look at the back on this one. Great wood grain, heavily used. Some sort of a strap really ripped up the finish there. And of course you got your buckle wear in this area as well. And a whole bunch of chewing up going on back here. So that made me start to think, is this really actually a custom order? Because it looks like somebody sanded the finish off the neck. And it's cool that it's got the stinger back here, right? But our Gibson Custom Shop decal has kind of been worn off too during that process. So naturally, I go down to the description, and it didn't start life like this. It started off as a Custom Shop Les Paul Classic Premium Plus. I'm adding that Custom Shop in because I'm thinking it might have been a Custom Shop 1. I could be wrong on that. It could have just been the regular USA. But they were saying it was played hard and then sent to the Gibson Custom Shop to refinish in Honeyburst and then add a new 59 neck. Jeez, that would have been expensive to put a new neck on it. Now it happens. I've documented a Renecked Les Paul Custom. That was a fun mystery, one of the first videos of mine that really blew up. But maybe that's how we got the Gibson Custom Shop decal back here and our stinger. But even after all that, they went through and played it so much again and wore through it. It's probably ready for another refinish. I'm sure this guitar would have many a tales to tell. So this one's being offered for about $4,000, shipped from Canada, which seems a little bit high for what it is. But if that's exactly what you're looking for, you can't find it too many other places. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.